Hey everybody, it's Dr. Rimka coming to you straight from my bed, actually. Um, my son's sleeping, and this is kind of the quiet space in my house. And end of day one. So some of you have been watching the water fasting, and some of you did it. So I'm doing a 5-day water fast in celebration of my birthday and kind of regenerating tissues. So you can watch some of those little videos as to why would I do this. I'm going to specifically answer someone's question. That's a really good question that we should talk about. Couple things. Well, first, you guys, how do you prepare? I'm a big fan of reading. Okay, so I prepare for anything by reading. And if that's not your cup of tea, then you should watch some videos, some lectures, some podcasts of experts. So the book I'm going to recommend, and I will put it in the link below in one of the comments. I'll put a link to Dr. Jason Fung is a physician practicing in Canada, and he's a nephrologist, so he deals with diabetes patients on the regular. He's written a book called The Complete Guide to Fasting. There you go, because there really wasn't like a book like that. So that's the place to start. He's using current research and current information and blending old and new techniques as to how do you start, how do you prepare, how do you end it, how long should you go, do you take your medications, do you not take your medications, are you someone who needs to have it be doctor supervised, or are you someone who doesn't need it to be doctor supervised? That book will answer all those questions. So step one, how do you prepare? Research, educate yourself. It's one of the best ways. I'd say get a book. Okay, go to his website. Put that in there. He's thedietdoctor.com. There's lots of blogs, lots of videos. I'm like, why are people doing this? Why are we even talking about it? And there's certain conditions. Again, he deals exclusively with diabetes, and this is his primary tool in managing type 2 diabetes, but it also is used for type 1. If you have something like that, you shouldn't just throw yourself into this, right? So if you have some severe illness or some metabolic disorder and you're taking medications to manage, you are going to need a clinician to help you, okay? Let's not try and do it alone. Let's just use some common sense. So a lot of people trying to do things on their own end up the ones that end up kind of getting hurt. It's kind of like, I'm not a dentist, so I'm not trying to pull out my own teeth. So I go to somebody who knows how to do that. Okay. The question came about, do I take, so most of you can just do this though. Like you research a little bit, you do it, you can handle it, right? But the question came, is this safe for a 78-year-old, relatively healthy person who's on a couple meds, who's on an RA med, rheumatoid arthritis, and hypothyroid. So is taking either Armour or Synthroid. And it's like, well, yes. Okay, lots of people in their 70s have done, I just was in a big group, and there were a lot of people in their 70s who did their very first 5-day water fast. It was mind-blowing, and they felt amazing. But in general, I would be a little conservative and say you need to find an experienced clinician and get some support. But just like, is there a way to start simpler? Absolutely. You can start simple. You can start, again, get the book, start reading. You can start just by changing your diet. That's one way, by kind of reducing carbs, increasing fat. You don't have to go full ketogenic, but it's just a way you can get your system away from sugar. Okay, eat less sugar, and so it can stop burning so much sugar and learn to do something else. The other way you can start to prepare for this is intermittent fasting, by just shortening the window of eating in your day. So if you start like with a coffee at 6 o'clock in the morning, you've probably some milk in or whatever, like that's really your eating window's probably started. So if you're eating dinner then at 9, 10 o'clock, which is very common in Atlanta, like this is wake up at 6, have a coffee, they put the kids to bed, 9:30 we're having dinner. Well, if you go from 6 a.m., to 9 p.m., that's 15 hours that you're actively eating, right? It's not a very long fast period then from, let's say, 10 o'clock to 6. It's a very short period. So if you start reducing the time that you eat in the day, and if you track and pay attention, you go, wow, it's 15 hours, then try to reduce it to 14 for a week, or try to go to 12. You don't need to go all the way to, eating in an 8-hour window or a 6-hour window. A lot of the really intense intermittent fasting, paleo, CrossFit, working out type of people, or someone who's reversing a metabolic disorder such as diabetes or PCOS or metabolic syndrome, they're doing incredibly short eating windows. Sometimes the eating window in a day is 2 hours or 4 hours. I've done that many times, but it's not like a consistent rule. So if I only eat one time in a day, and I eat over an hour or 2 hour period, that I'm having a huge meal of the whole process of snacking, nuts and appetizers and the food and the whatever, it might take me 2 hours. But then I'm doing a 22-hour fast, right? If I eat twice, I try to push those up against each other. So it's like, a 6-hour window. Might eat at 2 in the afternoon and then eat again at 8, right? Or something. So like, that's a shorter window. So it's less time that the body is digesting. It's less time for blood sugar spikes and insulin spikes. Because remember, insulin is the hormone of fat storage. High insulin is high fat storage. High insulin is eventually obesity. If you're obese, you have high insulin. You're going to have high blood sugar. So that's just kind of how it works. So that's a way you can kind of prep yourself. Like, you don't need to just full blown go into just water. Then once you've kind of shortened that eating window over a few weeks, and again, optimum is probably like 10 hours. That's really the research, Walter Longo, 10 hours for most people is a really, really beautiful period of eating. It's if you eat it first meal at 10 o'clock in the morning, that gives you a chunk of time to dinner. You got to kind of see the lifestyle. A lot of people will skip the breakfast, so like the big lunch and the dinner time with the family makes more sense for a lot of people with the way we work. Metabolically, it's probably better to have a late, huge breakfast, kind of brunch thing, and like an early dinner at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. However, our work dynamics aren't set up that way, so we're doing it a little differently. But physiologically, it's a little better. So for the older folks, they seem to kind of be on that schedule. They go to bed really early and wake up really early, and so their schedule can be a little bit physiologically healthier. So that's a way somebody can just get started. So you don't have to go into doing it. And then you can build yourself into, let me try 24 hours of just water, midnight to midnight. I did that for years. Then you can go 36 hours a day and a half. So you absolutely can graduate yourself up into getting up to a 5-day. If you're 25 years old and relatively healthy, you can just bang yourself into it, but 70 years old, no, maybe, shorten the eating window, get a book, Jason Funk's book, I'll put it down there, then shorten how you're eating in the day. Like, kind of track it. Say, how often? You might go, I only eat like actually in an 8-hour window. That's my time period. Oh, that's great. Keep it at that. Just reduce your sugars, reduce how much sugar and grain you're eating, and increase some of your fats, such as coconut, olive, or ghee and grass-fed butter, some good fats, to nourish that brain. You guys got to remember, the brain is 70% fat. Okay? How are you going to have a healthy brain and fight off neurodegenerative diseases if you aren't consuming healthy fats, and those healthy fats aren't embedded? Again, mostly that's all saturated fat and cholesterol, DHEA, EPA. Hello, seafood. Start eating it. Then would be work into just water. Try a 24-hour. See how that goes and see how you do. But again, I'd get the book and research, because how you break that fast, the foods you eat, it's important. You can kind of ruin what you did if you don't break it right. And then you can eventually get to the benefits of this whole 5-day thing. And for most people, if you do one 5-day fast a year, that's huge. That's a massive accomplishment. You have a huge physiological benefit to that. So, that's step one, how you get started. Can somebody old do it? Absolutely. And I would say get a clinician. You can get somebody to help you. You can get a book. You can get a support group, a group of people doing it to coach each other. That'd be great. Get a clinician to help. Go take 10, 15 people through it, and it can be really economical to do it that way. And it's easier for us to actually take a group. Then the other things about supplements. Okay, no, let's go medications first. Take all your meds. Okay? Don't stop taking your meds. People who do that, it's not good. If you have some specific meds that are actually dealing with adjusting metabolism, such as diabetes, metformin, insulin, or hypertension, blood pressure, either way, hypo or hyper, that you need to monitor it. So as you're having a rapid change in your physiology, you obviously don't take the same medications. But if you're taking thyroid meds, if you're, any psychiatric meds, do not come off of these things right away. That's very dangerous. So I would stay on anything basically you're taking. And again, if it's complicated, you need to seek the help of a clinician. But things like blood sugar and insulin and blood pressure are sensitive, and they have this ebb and flow, and your medications directly change that. You need to be checking. You need to be checking your, taking your strip and knowing your glucose and your ketones. And then, people with diabetes are really adept at knowing how to adjust if they have to do a bolus amount or not. And hypertension is the same way. You should have a cuff at home, and you should be able to monitor yourself and see where you're going, so you don't want to take too much or too little of something. So typically when you're fasting, you probably, if you're going to do anything, you could decrease some of your amounts. The body will regulate itself pretty dramatically sometimes, but that needs to be monitored. Everything else you keep taking, okay? Supplements, I don't take. You don't really want to take any supplements, okay? I will tell you the things that I'm okay with. There's a few things I'm okay with. Oh, I didn't bring the one with me I wanted to say. So, I take 2 redox signals. So redox signals are not adding anything to the system at all. It's not pushing my metabolism one way or the other. It's not activating my liver. It's not telling my adrenals to quiet or activate. It's not making any system do anything. It's the signals that bacteria make, and it's just a benign signal that's normally there that helps the system run itself. So the 2 redox signals I take are a SIA. So this is the redox signal, the communication signal. Redox just means communication. This is the communication matrix that the mitochondria in my cells make. And the mitochondria are a bacteria. So this is what I take when I'm still taking this when I'm fast. I take it when I'm not fasting. I take it every day. Okay. So I take that still, and I take Restore still. So Restore is it's the communication redox signal of all the bugs in your gut. Okay, if you're in your intestine, that intestinal biome, will be the word you heard, microbiome, get very used to those words. They're going to be all the hot everything. So those are the 2 redox signals that I take when I'm fasting. It's fine. I don't take any other supplements except for this. So Cytodetox is a powerful binder of toxins, so I still take this. So I do the True Cellular Detox protocol on myself that I also offer to clients. So I'm a Dr. Pompa TCD practitioner, and I'm in the middle of I'm doing the body phase again to kind of, so next month I'll be back on the brain phase. So I paused my whole supplementation, cellular repair chelation protocol while I'm doing the fast, except I am still taking this because it's going to bind to toxins and things that get released in my body as the autophagy and apoptosis increase. So I do continue with this one. Not everybody is necessarily agreeing with that, but I want to continue. And I also continue with Bind. The little, very special, way more than activated charcoal. There's a couple extra ingredients. It's the best sequestering agent, meaning I take it, it goes in the colon, it sequesters, it grabs all the toxins, so and eliminates them out of your body, right? So I do take those. Those are things to capture toxins so I don't do any auto-intoxication. So I'm taking 2 things to increase my cellular energy and cellular communication inside my cells and in my colon to get the bacteria, because a big part of fasting is resetting intestinal flora. So this is amazing for SIBO to dampen down those. It's amazing for yeast candida, and it's amazing just for any pathogenic Clostridia or any E. coli imbalances, other things like that in your large intestine. So you tamp everything down, and when you do the reintroduction of food, when you break the fast, you eat very specific, highly cultured foods with a lot of healthy bacteria, and they repopulate everything and put everything in check. It's really lovely. So it's just another benefit of fasting. So digestive disorders, it's a big one. So those are the other things. I'm actually on this one, I am taking still my colloidal silver, special serum silver from ACS 200 results RNA. Like I said a few days ago, I was not feeling good. So this is one I wouldn't normally do, but I am not willing to risk getting anything right now. So I went and had my ozone in my blood. I had a UBI, MAH, so I had blood taken out, ozone put in, and run through ultraviolet blood irradiation, and put that back in me to upload my oxygen levels and kill pathogens in my blood. And I instantly felt better and I felt fine, but I'm still going to go ahead and do this. I'm not willing. People are still coming to my office as they do. They come to me sick. That's what I'm here for. So I'm being exposed constantly. And I'm like, I'm getting on a plane in about a week. And even though I'm fasting and my immune system's going to be better, I'm still taking the silver, because the silver's not really going to push my system one way or the other either. The type of water, somebody question. The type of water would be, you want clean, pure water. You don't want any bubbly water. You don't want Pellegrino. You don't want LaCroix. You don't want vitamin water. I prefer you don't even have bottled water, because you don't know the quality of that, and you're getting estrogens from those plastics, and some other BPA and other things like that. Ideally, it's natural spring water. So if you can know the quality of some fresh natural spring on your property, or some, there's a whole website you can go to. People go collect springs from local areas and they're glass containers. It's brilliant. I get spring water from a local spring here delivered. Lipsy is a company that delivers in glass bottles, and Fontis is a local one here in Atlanta. So those are couple sources. Or if you have reverse osmosis, if you're going to install something in your house, you should do reverse osmosis. It's energy inefficient. It does burn through a lot of water to clean the water. It was why I'm kind of resisting it, just from the environmental impact. But it is a really clean, healthy water. And if you can take that and actually structure it, so you can look up structured water, you can buy little machines to do that, but you can just actually take a spoon and like stir like crazy and put a little pinch of salt, and you're going to structure that water. There's a whole bunch of techniques and using crystals and other things you can do, but they make these really amazing machines to actually make it structured. So reverse osmosis, I'll say that, or spring. You want to up that game and advance strategy, Google structured water and how to do that. I wouldn't buy, I've never seen any drops, or I don't trust any of that to actually work. I just would go through the process when water falls over, rocks and minerals and stuff, and it naturally structures itself. So by the time we get it in these bottles, it's flat, it's unstructured, it's kind of deranged. And by putting in the mechanical activity, you can structure it again. That's the gist of it. So that's it. So you don't keep taking your medications. Okay. Don't take your supplements. Okay. Unless it's a redox signal. I told you the ones I'm taking. Do some research and prepare. Get a book. Jason Fung's book. I'll put it in the comments. Get the Complete Guide to Fasting. It says exactly what it does. And you can start by shortening your eating window in the day. You kind of prepare. Go for the goal of like a 10-hour day. Go for 10 hours of eating, and reduce the amount of sugars you're eating throughout a day, and then try a 24-hour fast once you've prepared. The ultimate way to be successful is preparation. I could not go run a marathon right now. My body is in no way, shape, or form prepared for that. And not only would I fail, I could put myself at serious risk of injury and pain, and it would be dumb. Okay, so preparation is key. If I prepared and I know I'm good, nothing to be nervous about. So that's the trick to anything. Be prepared. Jumping into something and you're like, you don't know what you're doing, doesn't make any sense. So read, watch videos, hire a clinician. Okay, find out how you can do with that. So those are the answers to some of the questions I had, and I hope you guys have a good night. And my just personal update, it was a little bit hard. I have a really raging headache coming on because I've got back on my caffeine, after I did, and I usually with my chai tea, which I love. So I think I'm having a little bit of caffeine withdrawal. I was a little fatigued. I laid on my biomat, got like a 20-minute nap in. Oh, it was glorious, and I feel pretty good right now. I have a bad headache, but I'm clear. And I haven't checked my blood sugar and that stuff. I just wasn't interested in that data, quite frankly, for this experiment. I know what I'm doing and my purpose, and I'll check it, but I'm not overly obsessed or wanting to track ketones and blood glucose that much. I'm going to keep myself protected, but the first couple days doesn't matter to me. By the third day, I'll probably be a little bit more adamant about looking at my sugar and my ketones so I can track where I am and if the level of autophagy I'm in, because I want to get into a good ketosis. I know today I'm not already there because went out yesterday, kind of did some birthday celebrations and had, rice and wine and a paleo donut. So, but it's my birthday and that's okay. So, talk to you guys later. I'll keep you posted tomorrow.